All right, everyone. Welcome to our master thesis presentation. And it is about how to enter the upper secondary school market for ICT tools. And it's a case study of a Swedish e-learning startup called Learn, and we have two representatives over there. And what we've been doing during the spring is that they wanted to enter the upper secondary school market with their platform. And we have researched the upper secondary school market, or in Swedish, gymnasiet, by interviewing teachers, principals, school administrators, and we've also done a survey which got 200 responses from teachers and principals. And using that material, our recommendation to Learn, if they want to enter the upper secondary school market, is to have a freemium business model. And the most important reason for this is that they need to get some kind of traction and diffusion within the upper secondary school market, because it's a new technology and it hasn't been used that much there before. But I will return to this model later. So the agenda for today, we will start with a background about our product and our research question. But then we will present 5 different themes for you. And each theme we will present the theory behind it, our empirical data, and our analysis of the data. And then we will present the recommendation once again. So what is Learn then? Well, they have built an education platform which has been used here at Chalmers for an introductory Chinese language course. But the platform can be used for any kind of teaching. I mean, you can use it for math, for physics. There's no limit there. And the benefits of using a platform like this is that you enable continuous testing of the students, or also called formative assessment, which is a very big trend in the Swedish school today. And another big trend is the flipped classroom, in which teachers let you watch, for example, a YouTube clip before you come to class, so that once you're in class, you can have a more meaningful discussion than just sitting there listening to a teacher orating for 45 minutes.
Yes, and if we take a look at the upper secondary schools, we can see that e-learning is increasingly adopted in schools. And also, a lot of schools have adopted a one-to-one system, which means that each student gets his or her own computer or laptop to work with in school and at home. However, there are also some problems, and one of this is that many teachers stress that a lot of tools are just used in a very non-interactive way, and they call it book on a can, or bok på burk in Swedish. And this means that, for example, a text is read on a PDF on the computer instead of in a real book. So it's not really value adding, and you wouldn't even need a computer for achieving the same outcome. Another problem is also that lectures today, they are still held in a very traditional way, and it hasn't changed very much in 50 years. So yeah, there are very slow changes in school. And this has led us to our research question, which is, how can startups focused on e-learning establish themselves and diffuse new technology in Swedish upper secondary school? And we also had some sub-questions to be sure to fully cover all the aspects of this question, but those are not really as interesting to you, so we just focus on this for this presentation. And to answer this, I think that we would first need to provide you with a background of e-learning. And as I said, it's becoming more popular in schools, and the literature states that there are many benefits with e-learning. One of these is that it allows for very flexible learning. Each student can learn at their own pace and wherever they want to, at their own location. And it can also be more stimulating and motivating, since a lot of students like to use the computer and find it more fun when they get to learn by the computer. And many tools also gives possibilities for immediate feedback from teacher to student, which of course allows for quicker feedback. However, there are also some drawbacks, and one of the most commonly stated in the literature is that e-learning can lack some elements of social interaction and face-to-face meetings. But this does not have to be a problem, since there are a lot of tools that can be used in a more blended learning way, and which mix the face-to-face meetings with the computer learning. And within e-learning, e-learning, or related to e-learning, we have seen that there are two big trends going on nowadays. And one of these is formative assessment, which is the opposite to summative assessment. In summative assessment, it's the more traditional way of assessing students, when you get a final exam at the end of the course to assess what you have learned, and then you get your grade. But by implementing formative assessment, instead you continuously assess the students during the lectures or after the lectures by, for instance, having a quiz after the lecture. And then you can actually see what they are struggling with and modify your lectures to help them with that, and in a better way improve their grades. And this can be facilitated by different e-learning programs. And we have also seen that flipped classroom is really popular today. And Alex mentioned it before, but yeah, it's basically that the students get to watch the lecture or take in the lecture material at home. It can be a YouTube clip, it can be a podcast, it could be a blog post, but anyway, the students should watch it outside school, and then he can watch it in his own pace and rewatch it if he needs to. And when the students come to school, the teacher can instead focus the lectures on solving difficult problems, and he spending more time with each individual students to help them. So now we have arrived at our 5 fields, and the first we used was diffusion. And the theory we have used for this part is the diffusion curve that Rogers has derived. And I'm sure that many of you are familiar with this. But it basically states that in a social system, the members will adopt a new innovation at different points in time. And the first ones to adopt it is the innovators, and they are very eager and risk-taking and like to try on new technologies. Then follows the early adopters, and those are still fast, but not as fast as the innovators, and they are more integrated in their social systems, so that other members of the system are more keen on listening to them, and they trust them to be opinion leaders in the system. And the biggest part of a system is the early majority and late majority, and those people are a bit more careful. They don't want to be first, but they want to see that someone else try out new things before them. And in every social system, there are also some laggards who are really reluctant to try new things, and they might not try something new until they are forced to do it. And regarding e-learning specifically, we have seen in the literature that early adopters, they use e-learning in more advanced ways. They use more features of it, such as discussions and quizzes and communities. Yeah, and they are especially keen on using communities to share the knowledge and to learn more and to support and help each other with new tools. And of course, they are also very eager to try out new technology. Late adopters, on the other hand, they are much more reluctant. They do not really see the advantages with using e-learning tools, and they want to see all the benefits proven before they dare to start using it. And often they have to be forced into using new programs, and they usually only use ICT tools as a way of distributing information and not really value adding. So if we take a look at the interview results and the survey results, we saw that the diffusion process in school is very slow. And you can see one result from the survey here is that very few teachers completely agree with the statement that, in my experience, the process of introducing new ideas in my school is fast. So this is obviously a big problem. And one teacher also made this statement: the process of implementing new ideas is incredibly slow. There is a lot of prestige for the teachers who have used the same education methods for many years and are reluctant to start using computers in their education. And there is also a third problem if the principal management is not supportive or positive towards ICT, then the teachers will not really see the point in using new methods or trying to introduce new ideas in school. So the implications of this, it's of course that it's a problem that is a slower diffusion process in school than in society at large. But there are ways to speed up the diffusion, and one way to do that is to have a tool that has a high trialability, so that the teachers can try it out and play around with it a little bit before deciding to definitely adopt. And one can also try to decrease the complexity and make the tool very easy to use. because then it will not take a lot of time to learn, just to figure out how it works. And one problem we also have noticed is that teachers in general have very little time. So yeah, low complexity is important. And yeah, even though it is a slow system in general, there are of course some early adopters within it. And we have identified those as the ICT teachers working in school. And these are teachers that work with finding new ICT tools or e-learning programs, and then they bring those into school and help the mainstream teachers to learn to use them. So they are of course more interested in new programs than the mainstream teacher. And these are probably the people that would be appropriate to approach when trying to introduce new tools in school.
Yes. So once we had looked into the diffusion part of the school, we also wanted to know how are the purchasing decisions made in the school. So we used the framework by Webster and Wind for the buying center. And the buying center is made up of individual participants, and together they take the buying decision. And from the theory, we have different actors, and by using the empirical findings, we could assign different roles to them. So we can start with the teachers, for example. They are obviously the users of the platform. They are the ones who will create content and use it in their classes. But then we have the opinion leaders, and as Lisa stated before, we believe that ICT teachers can be really, really important here, because they are the ones that can spread the word about new ICT platforms or tools. So if you can convince them that this is useful and to have them bring it, they have sort of a smorgasbord with different ICT tools. So if you can get them to include it there, then you're golden. And then we have the gatekeepers. And the way it works when someone, as a teacher, wants to buy something is that they often don't have very much money themselves, but they're organized into teachers' teams, either through grade or subject. So it could be either grade 9 teachers or those that have Swedish, for example. And they have a larger budget to purchase things. But sometimes when that budget is not enough, if they all agree that they need to buy something, then they can escalate it to the principal and request money to purchase something. But they will only do that if they can collectively agree that it is a good idea to approach the principal. Otherwise, they will act as a gatekeeper, and the information will stop there. A decider is someone who takes a look at the proposal and say that this can integrate really well with our existing systems, go for it. Or oppositely, this does not integrate well, do not buy it, it will be too costly to use it. And finally, we have the buyer, and that is the principal. And the principals that we have talked with say that they don't really care about the technology itself or what kind of product it is. It's more about if the teachers say that we can get this out of this tool and the cost is this much, and then he or she will think about, is this reasonable, yes or no? And then if it fits into the budget, they will get it. So the takeaway from this is that ICT teachers are the most important category to target to gain visibility and traction, given that principals are positive towards ICT software. We also looked at the business model canvas because it's a good way of mapping out your different ideas about a new business model. And we have been mainly focusing on the right-hand side of the business model canvas, which is about which value do you deliver to which customers, while the left-hand side is more about how do you do that efficiently with low cost. And we think that Learn might be more knowledgeable about that part. So the value that we see that the Learn platform can bring to teachers is that it increases the quality time between teachers and students. It enables interactive learning in line with formative assessment. It is possible to follow the student's progress, and it can reduce the administrative time. And obviously, it's the upper secondary school that is the customer market that we want to target. And we believe that the relationship between Learn and customers need to be personal in the beginning, because very few teachers will stumble upon the Learn website unless someone has told them about it. But once you get the word out, then you will get more viral spread of it. Teachers will talk to other teachers, and they will come, and you can automate that process. But the fun thing here is then, how are you going to make any money from this? And we believe that the revenue stream that is the most suitable one is a freemium-based one. So, what is freemium? In the words of venture capitalist Fred Wilson, it is give your service away for free, possibly ad-supported, but maybe not. Acquire a lot of customers very efficiently through word of mouth, referral network, organic search marketing, etc. Then offer other premium priced value-added services or an enhanced version of your service to your customer base. And what's interesting is that the freemium business model has more or less exploded in the last couple of years. And we believe from a theoretical standpoint that the name-building factors are, well, for starters, as everything digital, you have more slop. It is cheaper and cheaper to have an IT-based solution. But you also have economies of scale. And here we have large companies such as Amazon. They have spare capacity from their servers, which they can sell to other companies very cheap. So if you're a startup, you do not have to invest in your own servers and everything like that anymore. So you can just rent it from them instead. They have very good economies of scale, you do not. But they're willing to sell it very cheaply to you, so you can benefit from their economies of scale. And obviously, it's a low cost of distributing digital goods. Selling one more license does not cost you very much. We also looked at some premium companies, and two of them are educational here. And what we were interested in was just to see if they have a freemium model, how many pricing tiers do they have, and how much are they charging for it? So you have something to base our suggestion from. And as you can see here, number of pricing tiers, it includes the freemium point. So you have freemium, premium, and group pricing for the educational one. And here it is, the freemium model that we proposed. And we believe that the freemium part should be centered around one teacher and one class. So it is possible for a teacher to try it out for free with one class and see, is this something for me? Am I willing to invest the time to create content for it? And that will decrease, or it will increase the diffusion among teachers because there's less of a barrier to enter the platform. And since once you have created the content, we believe that you want to use it for more than just one class, because that is the great part of this. I mean, you create it once, and then you can use it with all of your other classes. But if you want to do that, you need to upgrade. You need to upgrade to the premium version instead. And here we think that very few teachers are going to be able to purchase it themselves, but the teacher team might. So that is why we think that it can be a good idea to have 5 teachers' accounts if you upgrade to premium, so all of the teacher team can use it instantly. It also will be possible for them, hopefully, to share the content within the teacher team. And this is a feature that is not here today, but we believe that some kind of a course store might be a very good idea, because then it's possible for teachers to either use premium content or share their own content, so you can get the best of math teachers creating content together or whatever, and you can share ideas about how to present the material. And then we have the workshop theory.
Yeah, now we have arrived at our last theme, finally, and this is about the blue ocean strategy. And the theory about blue ocean strategy, it states that an industry is made up of red oceans and blue ocean. In a red ocean, the competition is known. There are a lot of firms that are trying to outcompete each other, but by raising the level of a certain factor that the industry is already competing on. So competition here is very fierce. However, there are also blue oceans, and this is more of an unexplored market space where there are big opportunities for demand creation and growth, and here companies can find new factors to compete on, so that the competition in the red ocean becomes irrelevant. And connected to this is the 4 actions framework, which is about reducing cost for the firm and creating new value for the customers. And to reduce cost, a company can eliminate or reduce factors or features that the industry for the market, the customers are not really demanding or asking for. And these are often factors that the industry takes for granted and that they have been competing on for a long time. But if they don't really add any value to the customers, they will only bring unnecessary costs to the company. And instead to create value for customers, a company should focus on raising raising the level of features that the customers likes or are demanding, and also try to create new factors that can help customers solve a problem, maybe a problem that they didn't even know that they knew that they had. So we took a look at the industry for e-learning tools and other ICT software as well. And many of these tools are based upon the answers from the survey, so it's tools that the teachers are using often, and also some of them are seen as somewhat relevant competitors to learn. And we have compared them according to 7 different factors or features here. And as you can see, it's very different. All of the tools are here, they have a very different focus, and it's hard to find a similar focus for many different tools. So the first features that we took a look at was adaptability. And that is about how adaptable the tool is for the teacher, so that the teacher can create his or her own content within the tool. And then we also have availability of ready-made content. And it's exactly as it sounds. It means that there are some content available in the program that the teacher can use in his or her lecturing. Functionality is about the number of functions included, and if it's a fully comprehensive solution that can be used for a complete course. We also have possibility to see students' progress, and that means that a teacher can follow how the students are doing by, for example, see the results they have on quizzes or tests they do within the tool, and then maybe adapt the lectures accordingly to what the students have problems with. And gamification, that is about the level of games included in the tool. It could be quiz-based games, or it could be more action games. Blended learning factor. This factor is high if the tool is supposed to be used in the classroom as well as outside the classroom, maybe at home or somewhere else. So it provides a mix between classroom teaching and the more computer-based teaching. And similarity to traditional methods, that is also exactly as it sounds. It's how similar it is to an old method, and if it's just a traditional classroom method that has been translated into the computer. So for example, if you read a PDF on the computer instead of using a book. And when we applied the Blue Ocean strategy on the Learn's case, we got a curve looking like this. We have also compared it to Google Apps. It's not a program that is similar to Learn, but it's very commonly used by teachers. It's one of the most popular ICT tools used for teaching. And we think that Learn should aim for a high adaptability, because the interviews and survey reveals that it's something that is very important for teachers, that they should be able to create or adapt the tools to their own lectures. And it is high today, so they should keep it like that. However, they could probably try to raise the availability of ready-made content a little bit, because the teachers, they really want to be able to take part of other teachers' content and material, probably in order to save time, which I already said that they have very little of. And I think that this could probably be raised in the future for Learn, because when teachers start using the tool, they can have a course store, as Alex spoke about before. And the functionality right now, it's quite moderate, and it's very good to keep it that way and keep a clean focus, because we found that the teachers, they don't really request a fully comprehensive solution. They want to be able to take parts of different programs and create their own solution. And the possibility to follow students' progress, this is one of Learn's unique selling points, and it's very high right now, and it should be kept that way, because it can solve a lot of problems for teachers and also facilitate the work with formative assessment a lot. So it's important to highlight this feature when they try to sell the platform product. And the gamification level, we think that it's somewhere in the middle right now. And it's based on quizzes, and you can get high scores and compete with each other, but there aren't really any action games included. So maybe they could include some features like that as well, but that's not really the most important thing to focus on. But it's good to keep some level of gamification, since it can increase the motivation among students. And the blended learning factor is high today, which is also very good, because, as I said, the flipped classroom is a big trend, and most teachers think that it will be even more popular in the future. And the similarity to traditional methods is very low for Learn today, and yeah, it would be very difficult to use the Learn program without having a computer. Very inconvenient anyway. So it's good to keep it that way, because it means that they add a lot of value by using the e-learning tool. So, Alex, can you give
we arrived at our recommendation. And the recommendation for entering the market is to offer the platform as a freemium product to maximize the observability and trialability of the platform among teachers. And here we have once again the proposed freemium model that we have arrived at. So, we've reached the end of our presentation. Are there any questions that you would like us to answer instantly?
I think there are some right over here that we might start with.
Yeah, I think we should start to do an applaud for a great presentation. Thank you, Lisa and Alex. It was very interesting for us to hear that have read the report. And I have to say that you probably all in here think that it was a really interesting presentation. Overall, now to go back to the report that we have been reviewing, is that, overall it was a really pleasure to read your report. You have done a great job. And especially with the empirical findings, you have a really good chapter that I think that will be very useful for you at Learn. It's a good structure that combines literature with the empirical findings and an analytical framework in a reader-friendly way. And the language is clear, and we have given you some feedback for small corrections on formatting and some language things and so on. It was interesting that you had the quality aspect there in the background and the problem statement. We would though have liked to seen a little bit more about the difficulties that are related to establish yourself in the upper secondary education market.
In the background?
In the background, exactly. Exactly. And the purpose is well connected to the research problems and everything. So if we continue to the literature framework. We think that the literature framework is really answering the purpose and the research questions really fine. But what's really interesting was that you have taken another approach to establish oneself on a market. Traditionally, you would probably have gone for like a marketing strategy involving differentiation, positioning, and segmentation, or the 4 Ps and so on. But how come that you have chosen this type of approach instead?
Yeah, we chose to focus more on what the market is demanding right now and how it looks on the market. Because I think it's really interesting to, use pull instead of push, as we have learned before. And also, it might be due to that we first started out with using the customer development process. We later had to skip that because, it didn't work out. But we started out in that way. And this means that you really have to listen to the customer and find out what they are demanding. Yeah. So, and also I think the blue ocean strategy is somewhat related to how a customer or how a company can position itself or promote itself on the market. So I think we touched upon it there. But we thought that it would be more appropriate in this case to focus on the market and the demand from the market.
Yeah. But for us that have read, is that, or now we have had the presentation also, is that it goes straight into the diffusion, and it's not really, the general opening there. And that is also a feeling that we get that the literature is really arranged specifically after the results that you have come up to, and we see that each part in the literature is very well with the results that you had. but once you read it, it comes a little bit as a surprise when you read about the business model, and then suddenly there's this freemium model instead of having this general about pricing strategies on the market. So can you feel that you have missed out something by going like narrow down like that straight to the freemium model instead of opening up for a pricing strategy discussion?
It's part of the method that we showed somewhere. We worked iteratively, so that if we saw something from empirical data and we believe that it was related to analysis, then we went back to the theory and added the freemium, because that was not part of the original theory. So that is why it comes kind of out of the blue that we believe that freemium is great, but you don't get the reason for that until the analysis.
So we should probably try to include some more clarifying sentences or something that we have used this iterative strategy.
I'll hand over to my colleague here.
Going forward in the report with the method, it was very clear. You stated just what you did and how that possibly might have impacted the result. And what I would like to hear is that if you would have done anything differently, doing it again. Do you think that the survey and the inductive approach with semi-structured interviews, then following up with a more structured survey, was the way to do it? Or?
Well, I mean, it was a typical case study here, so it feels like this is the way to do it if you want to get, good data that you can use.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, we use snowballing sampling, for example. I mean, that can go very well, or it can go bad. I mean, we're lucky this time that people referenced us to other people, so we could get deeper inside the organization. But
yeah, I think maybe we could have tried even more to come into contact with the teachers who are more mainstream and not really keen on trying new things, and get their points of view.
Okay, yeah.
So we could have spent more effort there.
And moving forward to your findings and analysis and eventually results, we have some questions. In the report you highlight that YouTube is a popular way of, or a popular ICT tool used in schools today, and that some characteristics is that it's for free and anyone can use it, which eventually impacts your results, suggesting a freemium model. However, we see that there are some differences between Learn and YouTube.
Definitely.
In that it's a lot easier to throw in a YouTube clip or to use a YouTube clip than to use Learn, which might require hours of administrative work beforehand. How do you think that will impact the spread of Learn as a platform, and how will it impact on the success of the freemium model?
Yeah, that's obviously one reason that we want them to reduce the complexity as much as they can, because as you said, many teachers don't have very much time to learn new tools, and of course it can be a problem if it's too time consuming. But we think we know that the interface is quite good today, and it will probably become even more convenient to use. So it wouldn't have to take a lot of time for the teachers to learn how to use it. And if they have 1 month no, that wasn't good. No, sorry.
And with the course store, it will be even
it's easier because then
use.
if you're willing to upgrade, then you get instant access to pre-made courses, so you can start using it the day after you find the tool, more or less.
And hopefully they can also help each other out after a while when more people have started to use it. Yeah. So you can find information in the community.
And then regarding the freemium model and the pricing strategy there, we noticed that when you have the free offer, it's a single person or a single individual's decision. And when you go for the premium version, it's included, and it includes 5 teachers. And do you think that there will be any difficulties with the decision not being put on one single individual as often?
Yeah, of course it's harder when more than one person takes a decision. But our reasoning here was that since the individual teachers seldom have very much money to purchase anything, they still have to convince the other teachers to buy into the platform. So if you can say that instead of I need this for my course, you can say that we could use this for our courses, and if we upgrade now, we all get our own account and we can start using it, we can share content with each other, we can use the premium content. Then it's easier to get a buy-in to a decision rather than you saying that I need more money for my course. That might be a hard sell because the other ones won't see the benefit of giving you that extra money.
And when you suggest your way of entering the upper secondary market, it's through we feel like it's a bottom-up approach where you target the teachers and that they should bring it into the organization. If that for some reason doesn't work, like the complexity is too high, or do you think that they can reach out for the ICT teachers or the principals and use more of a top-down approach, forcing?
We already want them to reach out to the ICT teachers.
Okay, yeah, but
yeah, of course you can approach school administration and principals, but we think that the problem there is that the process is much longer than if you go bottom up.
Okay.
Because, for example, if you want to sell something through public procurement to a municipality, you're not talking about a month or two. You're talking about perhaps a year or two before you get it into the schools. And it will be very costly for you. And especially as a startup with limited funding, you can't do all of those processes. You need to be able to quickly diffuse your product into the marketplace.
And also, if you approach a principal, there are far from every principal have a lot of insights into which tools are suitable for the teaching. And those principals we have talked to, they think it's better that the teachers take care of that and make suggestions for what they want to use, because they know more about what will fit the education.
Then finally, we just see that you don't have a discussion part, which is totally okay. You don't need one. But we still wonder if there anything that you feel didn't really fit into the content and into the report that you would still like to highlight for us and for the audience, something you.
Well, we had a discussion in the beginning about maybe partnering with existing distributors of educational software, Bonniers, for example, so that you will license the platform to them, and then they can sell it to their ordinary customers. But then you would have to give up some of the freedom of how to run your business. And we think that it's more interesting for a startup company to have an example of how they can do it themselves rather than just go look for the biggest partner you can find and then sell it to them. So that was one discussion that we had.
That was exactly my question to you, because now we just went through, you had, and also feedback to the presentation. It was a really nice presentation. Some slides, there were really a lot of information, and we didn't have time to go through all the things. But on the business model, it said no partnership, for example, and then you explained that. But today, could you see any partners that they should at least consider entering a partnership with?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you can have some kind of goal alignment where they're looking for this kind of platform already, and you can tell them that you don't need to invest money in developing your own platform here, just license ours, and then you say that we have a 2, perhaps 3-year licensing agreement, and then we'll renegotiate it. Because you don't want to get locked up in a very long commitment with someone. You need to have the more flexibility of seeing where things go, so you don't get stuck in a bad partnership where they retain your content.
But we've been discussing a little bit earlier priorities, but also to publishers that has a large impact on the upper secondary market. Can you see any publishers that you would go together with?
And specific?
Or maybe that is a too narrow question.
It could be a benefit because there are many big publicists that the teachers or school are usually buying from just from old habit. So maybe it could be a good way in that way. But it could also mean that they would lose some of the profits since it's another actor that would need to take some of it.
And we also talked to some school administrators. They have been requesting this from the existing publishers that they want more interactive solutions, but they feel like the existing publishers have only delivered book and a can. And even though they've been asking that for several years now, they still haven't responded very well to their requests. So perhaps it's better to just have your own brand, so you don't get bogged down by the old,
Yeah. Okay, then I think that's enough for us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and it is a really nice report. I recommend to everyone to read it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Good comments, and I think you also open up for questions and issues that maybe we haven't thought of during the process. This issue of partnerships is, I think, particularly interesting. With that, we'll open up the floor for comments, questions, anything. Johan, you're up first.
First of all, I think it was a great presentation, and I think it's really interesting stuff that you've done, and it's of tremendous help for us. And I think most of what you guys have presented is stuff that will go straight into our product offering. And I'm just stuck on a little bit of the theory part from in response to you. I think actually I agree with Alexander and why they shouldn't have used a 4P strategy, because 4P is perfect in a stable market when you know your customers. What they were actually looking for was who is the customers and how did they purchase. And they wouldn't have been able to identify that, or because otherwise we would have created a strategy based on not knowing who we were actually selling to.
But that is a perfect introduction to your theoretical.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have it on recording now, so we'll just write it down.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think you're spot on in terms of everything. We're definitely, what we're aiming at is actually launching a freemium version, and it's going to be paid with content, as you mentioned. And that is for us to be able to accumulate a lot of content, because we know that one of the major pain points is content, and that is also where the money is. Because in schools, a key issue for them is that they're spending tremendous money on literature. And that is the only way, more or less, we can sell to schools and actually make a relatively good deal out of it. And it's also a democratizing the way of handing out material, and that is what we see online today. Because 15 years ago, we looked at encyclopedia, and they died, and that is kind of how I view course material today. I think in terms of partnerships, we were into discussing with publishers, but at the same time we see what's happening with all other sources of material, and I think publishers will die, and especially in course material. In maybe not 1 year, but over time they will disappear. But I still think there is very relevant partnerships, and maybe other people who's already selling to schools, hardware suppliers, and maybe Google App suppliers, or whatever, all the people that are actually selling to schools. So going from now, we're definitely going to have a freemium, and we're definitely going to have a course content store, because, or maybe not for sale, but it's going to be populated with content, so a teacher or a school can get the full benefit from day one. So I think the help that we've gained from Alexander and Lisa is enormously helpful, and it's something that we're forming our business side.
Nice to hear.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to help you.
It was a pleasure.
Yes?
I got two questions. Firstly, did you evaluate open source solutions in that existing markets, for example, like Moodle, which probably covers all of the features named here so far, and it's free?
What was the name of the...
Moodle, M-O-O-D-L-E. It's a solution which is more used in the academic market, but I think it's also targeted towards schools.
Oh, okay.
But maybe more for universities.
Yeah, none of the teachers reported using it, at least. Don't remember it from...
In the survey we had a question where they could state which kind of programs they used. And we got like 86 different programs there, but I don't think yours was mentioned. So maybe it's more for higher education.
Yeah, but it should be adaptable for that market, but whatever. I mean, if you're taking more of the content strategy, of course, you will probably have a point there. But
yeah, no, I know about Moodle, but I think Moodle is more of an LMS to start out with, and then they've grown into the other parts. And as you said, there's tons of functionality, but looking at usability, I don't think it's relevant. We also have like It's Learning, which is really big. We got a couple of 100 million users, and we got a local player. It's big in Sweden.
The second point I see is more of a structural question. I mean, you had this wonderful adaption thing, I think ICT teachers on the second level as like not early adopters, but the early adopters, right?
Yeah.
Don't you see any problems about crossing the gap there? I mean, ICT teachers are not always like the persons who are like, how shall I say, the personal got the personality to really like advertise for a software, or to really like having the calmness and the patience to like educate other teachers about the solution. Usually, it's more like they install something and then they expect people to like use it. But there is like, I think, quite a gap actually between like ICT teachers and regular teachers, which could be quite hard to cross. Did you involve any thinking about that, how this could be crossed?
I think it's another kind of ICT teacher maybe that you speak about, because, well, there are those that install stuff and take care of all computers and IT, but the ICT teachers we speak about here is more like it's people who travel around to different schools and present different kinds of tools that they have found and that they find interesting and good, and they also try to educate the teachers, the mainstream teachers, in how to use them. So maybe we should just clarify a
So
little.
what you're asking is essentially is, are those ICT teachers early adopters, or are they also opinion leaders, people that others listen to?
I think that's one point, and I think the other point is the adoption processes within the school. Just because like people for technology responsible have decided that they want to go for this technology, it doesn't mean that the technology is used. There's, I think, a big gap, especially like in public systems, that you buy something, it does not lead in any case to usage, and then it is like maybe dropped 3 years later.
But I think many teachers said that there is actually a big willingness to change and try new things in school.
Okay.
And a lot of teachers, they are willing to try out new programs, but a big problem is that they don't have the time or don't understand really how to use it. So if the IT teachers could just make it convenient for them to learn, so they quickly can learn how to use it, and also present them with new tools, so they don't have to figure everything out themselves, then it could probably help, and it could probably be spread within the school. But there will also always be a few teachers that are very reluctant and don't want to try anything new at all.
And yes, when I looked at the diffusion curve, I think there's maybe one thing that could be added to it, and because the viewpoint is very much from the bottoms up and goes up through the teachers, and I think that is perfect, and that is going to solve a lot of issues when going out to public schools. But I also think there is another kind of early adopter, except from the teachers itself, and that's when organizations themselves decide to go, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it now, we're going to be the front runner of it. And then it might actually be the school as a whole who takes the decision and could be a potential early adopter.
Yeah,
Then also probably licensing on school would make sense instead of like 5 people base.
Say again?
I said then a license for the software or for the support or whatever on school base would probably also make, except for like the 5 people group, but since I don't know how you made like the business model up, but then probably a licensing model also on like school scale is viable, or probably more leading even, because the schools then can just decide for a complete package instead of like buying 5 or whatever licenses.
Yeah, we have a suggestion for group premium pricing as well, where you have a minimum of 10 teachers, and then you get a discount of it if you want to have a whole school or municipality using the platform. And of course, I mean, if a whole organization comes to you and say that we want to use this for 500 teachers, maybe you can get even better pricing. But this is just an example of how one could structure an offer that it's easy to comprehend and easy to communicate to other people. Yeah?
Yeah. You talk about maximizing the observability and trialability. This is related to crossing the chasm. Do you see any difficulties